Today we're going to be earning the Platinum Trophy for Resident Evil Village, requiring us to complete the game 3 separate times, including a knife-only speedrun, as well as taking on Village of Shadows, the game's hardest difficulty. We're also going to be tackling the Shadow of Rose DLC, which was nothing short of terrifying. But until that point, we step back into the shoes of Ethan Winters after surviving the horrifying events at the Baker's house in Resident Evil 7, along with his wife Mia, who they now have a child named Rose. I guess you could call her Mia. After listening to one of the most unsettling bedtime stories, we put Rose in her cot and channel the inner goat and earn our first trophy. We head back downstairs to enjoy a relaxing evening with our wife and hear a rather aggressive knock at the door. Turns out it's not our Chinese order, it's Chris Redfield, who shows up, game overs Mia and takes Rose. We're dragged out of the house and wake up in the middle of this pitch black forest after our transport is overturned. We follow the footprints and get an early indication of how the rest of this playthrough will go. Oh, you mother! After searching through this cabin to find nothing, we hear a loud noise above and return upstairs to find a wall busted open, and now it's broad daylight, despite the fact that we were only down there for 30 seconds. At the end of the trail, we catch a glimpse of one of the main areas of the game, Hogwarts Castle. Exploring the abandoned village, we find a lone survivor of whatever's happened here. He hands us a gun before he's swiftly pulled through the ceiling and never seen again. We're then grabbed in the opposite direction through the floorboards, where we proceed to be chomped on like a tasty bit of chocolate cake. After that encounter, we loot some bits and bobs in a nearby hut and earn our next trophy for crafting our first item. We are then ambushed in the next house over after finding a shotgun and are forced to hold our ground, where we earn another trophy for defeating 3 enemies with 1 attack. Shortly after, we see what can only be described as Crack Hagrid. Oh, who are you?
Hello, Hermione.
Overwhelmed by the ambush, we become surrounded just before Hagrid heads off back to Hogwarts. In the direction that he fled, we see a witch-like woman standing in front of the now unlocked gate. We follow the crone, who informs us that Rose has been taken by a woman named Mother Miranda. In typical Resident Evil fashion, we need to find the items that will help us progress through the intricately locked door. In this case, it's 2 stone seals, first of which is found close by in a church, conveniently alongside the map to the second one, located at someone called Louisa's house. On our way to the house, we find our first of 20 Goat of Warding collectibles. We won't be finding all the collectibles in this playthrough, however, breaking our first one earns a trophy. We reach a house, finding a group of survivors taking refuge as Louisa explains the village is under the protection of Mother Miranda. As they offer their prayers to Mother Miranda, one of the survivors turns into a lichen and game ends Louisa. What the hell? In the commotion, a lantern gets knocked over and the house goes up like the 4th of July. I'm strong and independent, I don't need no man. We then search for the keys to the car so that we may escape. The keychain contains another key item that we'll use later on, the screwdriver. Returning to the car, Ethan then demonstrates his lack of knowledge of how a garage works. We're going forward? Why aren't we going backwards? Yeah, genius. There's literally a wooden door behind you. We climb to the attic and Elena falls into the fire, rest in peace, before we leap of faith out the window and use the screwdriver to obtain the second seal. We place both seals into the door and head up to the castle, where we're interrupted by this Magneto wannabe who impales us and drags us to Mother Miranda. And in typical Resident Evil fashion, Ethan just brushes off this life-threatening injury. We awake in the room with Miranda and her posse of freaks known as the Four Lords. We have Donna Benvenuto, Salvatore Moreau, Carl Heisenberg, and everyone's favourite Dommy Mummy, Alcina Dimitrescu. After they decide our fate, we are given a generous 10-second head start to flee, which Ethan doesn't grasp the concept of, wasting the majority of the time deciding whether to jump down this 10-foot drop. Hagrid then swaps franchise, going full Gandalf and You Shall Not Passes us down into the pit, where we avoid the spike traps, earning our next trophy for escaping the mines. Passing through the door where we were impaled at earlier, we find this esteemed gentleman named Duke. He acts as the in-game shop, and for purchasing our first item from him, we are awarded with another trophy. Entering the castle, we are captured yet again, but this time by Lady Dimitrescu's daughters, who drag us to see the Dommy Mummy herself, who then proceeds to give us the "Come on Eileen, huck to a spit on that thing." They string us up, but we escape into the basement with one of the daughters hot on our tail, but it turns out they don't like being exposed to the cold, and not just Ethan Winters. You get it? Winters is cold. With Bella defeated, we find an attachment for our gun and equip it to earn the Gunsmith trophy. Ah! You bitch. We progress through the mansion and find ourselves outside Lady D's window, and because she's as blind as a bat, doesn't spot us despite looking straight at us. Get it? Because she's a vampire? I'm crushing these jokes. Mother Miranda is pissed that we escaped, and so is Lady D. We head inside to look for the key to open the main door of the castle before she re-enters the room and beats us into the ground. Me next, please. As we attempt to escape the dungeon, Ethan ends up spraining his wrist. Here we go. It even sewed my shirt back together, wow. With our shake weight hand reattached and our recently found key, we enter a nearby locked room and head upstairs. We collect this metal ball, and after proving Mozart ain't shit, we find another useful key before returning to the merchant and using the ball we found to complete this labyrinth puzzle, earning the trophy, Get the Ball Rolling. Leave me alone! We move to the second floor and are pursued by daughter number 2, Cassandra. In this room, we find a ring which we combine with the marble eye, which increases its sale value as well as earns us the repairer trophy. Cassandra then corners us in a dead end, and after demonstrating why I gave up my Rainbow Six Siege career, what am I doing? That was idiotic. How am I still alive? She finally gets put down. Shortly after, we find and defeat daughter number 3, Daniela, before completing a puzzle in which we need to shoot 5 bells to gain access to the roof. Ooh, a rifle. Trick shot? What's that for? Defeat an enemy from long range. Oh, is that really a trick shot? We use this zip line to find the final mask needed to open the door back at the main lobby. Opening the door leads us to a church where we raid this tomb and find a fancy looking knife. Lady D then stabs us, so we return the favor and find she's not into that kind of foreplay. She's also a vampire lady? Oh, no. She's a dragon? She transforms into a flying demon, and we're thrown into our first real boss fight. The fight drags on for some time, but results in us earning another trophy. We pick up this mysterious flask and head back to the village, but not before earning another trophy for hunting an animal. We encounter the crone once again, who informs us that Rose is going to be sacrificed in some sort of ritual. We pick up a winged key, and further up the path we find Duke, who confirms to our surprise we've already found Rose. I don't imagine dropping her on our head can do any more harm than it already has.
There's a house with a red chimney on the western side of the village. Go and seek out the man who lives there.
We place the flask into this chalice and see a vision of Mother Miranda taking Rose from when our van overturned. Is Mother Miranda going to be like Mia or something crazy? On our way to the house, we come across a cabinet locked with a combination. Thankfully, the code isn't too hard to find. Oh, you motherfucker. I hate you. Fuck you. Outside the house, we get into a bit of a tussle. What? Before we enter and find an upgrade for our key. We also finally use one of our lockpicks and earn the trophy Petty Thief. Returning to Duke, and he explains that there's 4 pieces of Rose, all with their respective lord of the village. How convenient. He then points us in the direction of our next target, the doll maker Donna Benevenito. We head through the forest with creepy doll and mannequin parts hanging from the trees, and as we cross the bridge, Ethan begins to see visions of Mia and Rose. Arriving at the house, we enter the basement, which looks pretty familiar. It's giving him, what's that game? PT. Giving PT vibes. Well, it's not just going to be as easy as picking up, is it? Of course not. The whole floor is similar to the birthday section in Resident Evil 7, where it's just one giant escape room. Nearing the end of the section, we collect the fuse box key from the bottom of this well before navigating the pitch black corridors. Oh no. What the fuck? What in the PT shit is that? After hiding under the bed, we make a dart for the elevator. However, we're not out of the woods yet, as we're caught up in a twisted game of hide and seek. The dolls become louder and shake more violently the longer it takes to find Angie. Taking too long results in this. Oh! After finding her a few times, we defeat her and Donna, earning our next trophy. Before we pick up our second flask. We drop off the flask and head towards the windmill where Salvatore Moroni resides. That's Batman, goddammit. What the hell are you? You're telling me Ethan lives this again? After Ethan survives another mauling, we find a grenade launcher and take down the beast, clearing the debris to the windmill and taking the elevator down into the mine. Sneaking through the gap, we see the third flask just sitting there while Moreau is distracted watching my previous video in which we earned the platinum for Silent Hill 2's remake, link in the description. I promise you won't throw up. Of course, he spots us and attempts to trap us in the mine. Pretty dogshit effort though. After jumping in this conveniently placed boat, we navigate the waters and get a glimpse of our next boss. After we dock, we run into Chris Redfield again, who is continuing to research the mold from Resident Evil 7, and Mother Miranda is somehow involved. He then tells us to stay out of his way and gives me flashbacks to when I was 6 years old in the school playground.
Why you bullying me?
Turns out that the giant fish we saw earlier is Moreau, who then spews up his guts before returning to the water. We then complete a few puzzles which result in us draining the water from the lake, sending Moreau fleeing back towards the mine. This fight was pretty annoying because he's a big old fatty. Most of his attacks would just trap us in the corner before he then proceeds to piss out acid rain. With Moreau defeated, we head to the exit of the mine and pick up our final piece of the key. Heisenberg somehow contacts us through the TV, telling us that the location of the final flask is inside a stronghold and that he's not going to put up a fight. Before heading to the stronghold, we do a bit of exploring and come across a puzzle room with 3 doors. This puzzle stumped me for a bit until we accidentally unlocked a trophy for lighting an enemy on fire. Using this knowledge, we lured a flaming enemy to light this torch and secure ourselves the treasure. Oh, it's Dommy Mummy. Getting into the stronghold was our toughest challenge yet, as we came up against far more enemies than we'd done previously, fending off waves as we had to wait for the door to open. Once inside, it appears to be a lichen den, and we're definitely not welcome. Oh yeah, okay. After expending the majority of our ammo getting through this room, we find a familiar foe. Oh, it's that guy, finally.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Oh shit. Up yours. Precisely. With Crack Hagrid defeated, we locate the final flask as Heisenberg had promised, who contacts us again to offer a partnership to defeat Miranda, wanting us to meet him at his factory. Returning to the altar, we place the final flask and receive a giant's chalice in return, following the path to the ritual site where we place this chalice in the center. Seems pretty strange that we need to collect the parts of our daughter in order for the bridge to appear. Thank God we did though, because the postal service is in shambles. Nevertheless, we cross it and enter the factory to meet Heisenberg. He explains that he was kidnapped as a child and experimented on by Mother Miranda, hence his reasoning for wanting her gone, though we don't take too kindly to his plan to achieve this goal.
My daughter is not a weapon. Fuck you!
He throws us down into the factory corridors where we need to avoid one of his experiments. We then emerge into the heart of the factory with the narrow rooms and hallways making for a pretty annoying time when it came to combat. Heisenberg has been creating an army of zombie cyborgs to defeat Mother Miranda. This resulted in one of the most annoying enemies in the game. Oh, what kind of bullshit is that? How are you not dead yet? He dies as soon as I say it. After we tangle with Propellerhead, we're confronted by Heisenberg once more, but this time something's a little different. He knocks us down yet again, deeper into the factory, where we see a welcome face.
You killed my wife, you son of a bitch! You think I killed Mia? That wasn't her. It was Miranda.
Is Mother Miranda going to be like Mia or something crazy? Chris explains that the Mia that we saw him game over was actually Mother Miranda, who had cloned herself with the mold spores.
Then you take this, and do me a favor. Try to stay under the radar.
Under the radar? Chris, you literally just gave me a tank with a chainsaw on it. We hop on Chris's makeshift tank and head up to the surface to defeat Heisenberg, and whilst dicking around on the elevator, we earn another trophy. After participating in my favourite childhood show Robot Wars, we're sent hurling into the air, clamber back into the tank, and finally defeat Heisenberg. Mother Miranda then shows up and explains that Rose is basically as powerful as Evelyn, the little girl from Resident Evil 7, before Temple of Dooming us and ripping out our heart. There's literally no way he can be alive.
Captain, I've confirmed the death of Ethan Winters.
Okay.
I wasn't able to retrieve the body, but I've recorded evidence.
She murdered him, and she is not gonna get away with it.
However, it's not all sad news, as we get to play as Chris Redfield, and after scoping out the village below, we earn the Mathematician trophy for exploring all areas of the game. Compared to the crappy, unupgraded weapons that we had been using, Chris's military gear made some light work of these lichens. We call in a mortar strike on this giant mold tree and make our way inside and encounter Crack Hagrid's brother. Oh, it's the dude. But this time he's got a giant flail. It's not called a flail, what is it? Morningstar, that's what it's called. However, Crystal Meth Hagrid didn't stand much of a chance, as we could just use the airstrikes to obliterate him. Moving through the caves, we come across the Mega Mice Seat, the core of the Mold Spore colony. Chris arms some explosives before heading off to defeat Miranda once and for all. We find ourselves in Miranda's lab, where there are a ton of notes on what happened in the village. Essentially, Miranda's daughter died of the flu, which caused her to go crazy and infect the villagers with mold spores. Most of them turn into lichens, apart from 4 people, you guessed it, the 4 lords. She then discovers that Rose is the perfect vessel to bring back her daughter, go figure, so that's why she disguised herself as Mia. Chris opens the gate to find that the real Mia had been here the whole time, who then drops the craziest twist out of nowhere.
He's dead.
You're wrong. I tried to keep this a secret, but...
You're taking the fucking piss, he's still with no heart?
You mean you didn't think it was weird, no matter how much you got hurt? 3 years ago, the Baker house, you were murdered by Jack.
So Ethan's been dead this entire time. Jack killed him at the beginning of Resident Evil 7, and the mold revived and mutated him, explaining how he's just able to brush off life-threatening injuries and stick his limbs back on. We're now back as Ethan, heading to take on Miranda and rescue Rose. Can we get a light jog going, please, Ethan? I know you've just woken up from the dead. Your daughter's life is at stake. What the hell's that? Push away an enemy after guarding in the story. I hadn't done that yet. What the hell?
Give Rose to me! Now!
I will take what is due.
This fight was totally unbalanced and never ending, but eventually we defeat her and reunite with Rose, but unfortunately Ethan just can't catch a break. Oh no. Ethan stays behind with the detonator while Chris, Mia and Rose escape in the helicopter. With our first playthrough out of the way, it was now time for the DLC, but just quickly, if you have enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1,000 by the end of the year, and we are so close. After the credits roll, we see a glimpse of grown-up Rose visiting Ethan's grave, and it appears she's been working with Chris all these years later. This leads us perfectly into the DLC, where we get to play as Rose, who is trying to find a way to remove her powers as she wants to live a normal life, which we'll be playing on hardcore difficulty for a trophy. After speaking with Kay, presumably one of the doctors, we end up in the consciousness of the Megamycete as it has retained Miranda's memories. Kay is hoping that we'll be able to locate the purifying crystal, which will remove Rose's powers.
Do you have a name?
We return to a few locations in the base game, and throughout the DLC, we collect flasks that will enhance Rose's powers, which is pretty ironic considering she wants to get rid of them. And for using her powers 20 times, we earn a trophy. After returning the silver mask, we're able to finish this painting puzzle in the gallery, granting us a key, which we then use to access the shotgun. With the shotgun acquired, we discovered all 4 crafting recipes, for which we would earn another trophy. The castle section has us finding 3 masks, and after returning the final one, we learn it was a trap and are sucked into a boss fight against Crack Hagrid's distant cousin, Smackhead Steve. On hardcore, this was an absolute nightmare. Rose is just too slow to do anything, and it feels like the weapons are as useful as a Nerf gun. After defeating it, the magic words tell us to jump into the abyss, where we end up at our second location, the Benvenuto Mansion. Similar to the base game, it's one giant escape room. However, after finding all the items, this section turns into the most horrifying game of hide and seek. Don't look away. Oh no. Oh man, go away. We're then shrunk down Alice in Wonderland style and need to make our way past these dolls, which are now giant in comparison. After making it out, it was now time for our second boss fight, this time against a familiar face. Evelyn, the little girl from Resident Evil 7, shows up, and we team up with our magic words to stun and defeat her. Just before she's about to end us, a mysterious man appears and pushes us out of harm's way. Who the hell's that?
Is Michael my dad?
Don't give up, Rose. Find that crystal.
Turns out the magic words were Ethan the entire time. We crest the hill and see a bunch of floating orbs and a giant core in the middle of the village. Arriving at Miranda's lab, we find that in this realm, Miranda has succeeded in cloning Rose, but none of them were strong enough to survive as being a vessel for her daughter. Emerging from the cave, we finally find the crystal Rose had been searching for. However, again, it's a trap! This time it's set by Miranda, who lured the real Rose here so she would give up her powers willingly to become the vessel that she needs. Just as Miranda attacks, Ethan appears again to save us. We exit the cave, only for Ethan to sacrifice himself once more before Rose destroys the crystal, regaining her powers, but this time she's Super Saiyan. What the hell? After a fairly lengthy fight, Rose says goodbye to Ethan as we return to the real world before the end credits cutscene from the base game plays once more. We also earn the trophies for finishing the DLC on casual and standard difficulty as well as hardcore. There's 2 more trophies remaining, but they're tied to the Mercenaries DLC, which we'll visit a bit later on. Now it's time for our knife-only playthrough, where we'll be aiming for 3 other trophies for finishing the game under 3 hours, healing less than 4 times, and spending less than 10,000 lei. There isn't too much to note here, you just don't use your guns to defeat enemies, you can still use it to do the puzzles like shooting the 5 bells as well as taking down some bridges, and even shooting the ball the final boss makes. We do, however, earn a trophy for knocking an arrow out of the sky with our knife. As we're playing on casual, the enemies don't deal a great amount of damage, and even if we do get hit and end up in the red, over time we'd regenerate back into the light green. It's advised that you save your allotted 4 heals for the final boss fight if you can help it. Unfortunately, we had to burn one of the heals on the propeller head fight. Even on casual, it's still a pain in the arse. The only other annoying part was Meth Hagrid, which took about 8 minutes of just hacking away at him now that we couldn't use the mortar strikes. Thankfully, after beating Miranda, we'd completed everything we'd set out to do and earned all 4 of the trophies. Before starting the Village of Shadows difficulty, we spend some of the CP that we earned for completing the various challenges and unlock infinite ammo for the hand cannon, making this difficulty a complete joke. Until we get to the Chris section. Fuck off, man. Apart from dealing more damage, enemies can spawn in increased numbers as well as in completely new areas, and as a change of pace, I also put the game in third person mode thanks to having the gold edition of the game. During this playthrough, we'd also be going for all the collectible related trophies as well as any that we'd missed in our first run, such as this one for defeating Crack Hagrid during the ambush section at the beginning of the game, and this one for shooting down 5 flying crows. As the collectibles carry over into New Game Plus, whilst in the castle section, we pop the trophy for reading every file in the game, before earning an aptly named trophy for breaking all of the windows. We defeat Lady D with ease and dispatch Moreau much the same, before finding and opening our final outhouse and earning another trophy. Before we head to the factory, we take a detour back to Louisa's house to defeat the giant beast that had spawned there. We make it to Chris's section, and without the use of the hand cannon, what was the easiest section previously became an absolute nightmare. Oh, come on. It's fucking never ending. Oh my god, give it a rest. God damn it. Fuck off, fuck off. Fuck off, man. However, after reaching the Mega Mycete, we find the final goat of warding we need to destroy for the trophy. And then after defeating Miranda and finishing the game for the 3rd time, we earn the trophy for beating the game on hardcore difficulty as well as the Village of Shadows difficulty. Reloading our save, we head back in and earn a few more trophies related to our equipment. The first is for buying and equipping every weapon part to its respective gun. Next was for unlocking every crafting recipe. And another for crafting all those recipes. And the final trophy was for getting our money to total any form of a recurring 7. Back to the menu, and we earned 2 more trophies for painstakingly buying all the concept art and viewing them, as well as all of the character models. There is one more trophy we're going to earn, but we'll grab that after the Mercenaries mode. This is a wave-based mode in which the objective is to finish the rounds quickly whilst also racking up points, which total together once the run comes to an end, earning you a rank. The trophy we're aiming to unlock is for getting an S rank on every single level. To get a high score, you need to pay attention to the combo meter for defeating enemies within a small window, and for reaching a combo of 30, we are awarded the trophy Combo King. In between rounds, you can spend money on better items, which in turn help increase both your speed as well as your score. I quickly learned that the sniper rifle was the way to go and started to plow through some of the levels, even earning an S rank in the factory on our first attempt. Now, without the DLC, the later levels present quite a challenge. However, with the DLC and access to Lady Dimitrescu, this was a complete walk in the park. And to earn the final 2 DLC trophies, we just need to complete their respective levels. With all the DLC trophies earned, we head back into the base game for a quick photo opportunity and earn the final trophy before the platinum. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also check out the Silent Hill 2 video, which is my personal game of the year. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.